being broadcast around the world. Thanks everyone for joining us on the Solar Objections live action role play. I have the pleasure to introduce a big UFC fan, fellow poker player, Solar Pro, and my friend, Solar Joe.
Thanks, Bruce. And we are back on another live stream on the Solar Objections group. And as we all know, this is not about me. It's about our awesome guests we get to have on the show every week. And this week we have somebody you may not know, but he is a superstar in the solar industry, Ben Heffron. What's going on, Ben?
Hey, Joe, how's it going? Thanks for inviting me back. It's good to be back on here, although I think my intro for you was better than Bruce's, so you're going to have to replace that one at some point in time.
I was going to say, man, I think we'll get that video, and if anybody knows, this guy knows how to announce. Do you want to give a little shout out, a little?
I think, I haven't had enough social lubricant to jump into it straight right now. But
well, guys, Ben Heffron is not only an announcer, he's also a super experienced solar pro, Navy veteran, super smart, super funny, super personable. I'm actually trying to make him do his own live stream, so I'm a really big fan. So Ben, again, thank you so much for making some time for us.
Yeah, after all that buildup, I just have one question. Like, I didn't have to wear pants for this, right? Because you can only see here up.
Yeah, that's
okay,
one of the best parts.
All right.
Hey guys, everybody watching, if you guys want to say hi to Ben, this is your opportunity. As we talk, if you have any questions for him, go ahead, put it in the comments. If you have an objection you want him to handle, go. He's super engaging. He'll definitely jump in there and answer those. But if you guys want your name shown in the comments, go to the bottom of the link and click on the StreamYards link to give us permission to show your name, or just say Facebook user. So today, Ben is actually doing us a favor, and he's going to help us with the Idaho market. It's an emerging market, and he really doesn't get anything by helping us besides the homeowners in the market. But Ben, is that okay with you?
Yeah, absolutely. That's why I'm here, is to help build the industry as a whole. And so no matter what, because solar is so new here in Idaho, I want to make sure that the homeowners are taken care of. Because if you sell something responsibly to the homeowners, being a local company, we're going to know if you treat them well, they'll tell everybody solar is great, and I'll get some trickle down from that. So that's what the whole point of today is, to make sure that we're being good stewards of the industry. But
the only request is that if Ben teaches you something, you guys can't sell solar in Idaho, though, okay? Is that the deal?
Yeah, that's perfect. The number one thing to know about Idaho is that it absolutely sucks. Don't sell solar here.
That's the first thing to know.
Yeah. Well, kicking off a little bit with the Idaho market, because it is still a rather small and emerging market, we have a lot of misinformation and lack of information out there. So you have a true opportunity to educate homeowners that have not heard the pitch 27 times. We're not saturated the way that a lot of the other areas that you may be used to. So people genuinely have an interest and need to be educated. The driving factors behind people's interest here in Idaho is a little bit different. We're not necessarily pursuing a lower cost of electricity. Frequently, we are able to help them with that. It does depend on your pricing and everything that you're willing to sell at. However, the driving force in Idaho is taking control and taking ownership in the industry. They want to disrupt the status quo. People in Idaho hate being told this is what you have to do. And being in a regulated market, we have a utility company that is assigned based off of address. So the only option you have to move away from that centralized utility is to do something like solar or wind or hydroelectric if you have the water rights. And the most stable of all of them in Idaho is solar. So
is that how you explain it to the homeowner? Like it's not about the utility or not utility, it's about which way do you want to get clean energy?
That's basically it. And just making a choice for the very first time. Homeowners here have always been told, this is your bill, you're going to pay it until the month after you die. And presenting them with an opportunity to fix one of the most variable costs that people are facing. Idaho, up until very recently, we're a very rural area. And so people live off of farming income. So when it's very similar to a senior or somebody on a retirement income in that you only have so much. And once the money's gone, there's no way to get more at the end of the month. So if your bill goes up by 100%, 150%, 200% because you have the family over, we don't have the ability to recover from that. And so if we have the ability using the net metering programs that are still in place here to fix one of the most variable costs for everybody, that's the attractive portion of solar in Idaho.
So it's not about how expensive the electricity is. It's more about getting the power, right?
That's exactly right. I mean, the cost of electricity have consistently been going up, especially over the last couple of years. Some of the utilities here, we've seen 22 to 40% increases just in the last 3 years. And we have announced increases from some of the other utilities that are going to take a huge chunk of people's income as well. So if we have the ability to fix their costs at today's rates, using the old gas analogy, I'm sure we've all heard that one before. Fix your costs at today's rates. You never know what they're going to go up to. So buy it now. People love
How about
it.
the different utilities? Is there a bunch of different options out there? Is there one main one? How does it look like with that?
Yeah, you bet. So there's a bunch of little municipals and co-ops, just like almost any other place. But the two big main utilities in the area are Rocky Mountain Power and Idaho Power. And both of them currently are doing one-to-one net metering with some caveats. There will be changes. We've been broken off into new rate schedules so that at some point in the very near future, the utility can change the one-to-one net metering and go away from that. So we've taken the first steps towards leaving the one-to-one net metering.
That's important. So is there something, okay, so say another person from another state is trying to sell an Idaho deal. What's something that you know that they may not know about selling that deal to their homeowner that homeowners should know about?
Yeah. So depending on the utility, how your extra electricity is going to be credited back. With Rocky Mountain Power, it is credited back as it's a financial credit back. So they build financial credit with utility. They will never get that money issued to them in the form of a check. So oversizing the system, which used to be common practice here in Idaho several years ago, is no longer a good option because at the end of the solar year, the power company just takes that and says, hey, thanks. Idaho Power is credited back as a kilowatt hour credit that rolls over perpetually and does not expire. And so it's a little bit easier to sell there. Their cost of electricity is a little lower. So it's a give and take.
How about, I think of Idaho, I think of rural. Is that a different kind of homeowner when you're talking to them? Is it the same as everybody else?
You are talking to a different homeowner. So when we do think about the farming, the agricultural, and the rural person out here, we're looking at the person that just wants to be left alone for the most part. And so they want a solution to a problem that they may or may not know that they have. And that's your job to educate them both on the problem and the solution. Although Idaho is a very rapidly growing area, we have a lot of people transplanting here from California, from Oregon, Washington, Texas, all over the place, because traditionally we've had a very low cost of living. That's gone up substantially. The real estate prices here have gone through the roof. And because everything else is becoming far more expensive, being able to isolate and fix another cost is a huge advantage to people here.
In places like, Texas and Florida, the homeowners have like a lot of large systems. What's
Right.
like the average size system over there? They're just pretty small, I'm guessing, or is it medium, large?
Well, just like anything else, the size fish you're going to catch is determined by the pond that you're sitting in. If you go sit in a farmer's pond, you're going to catch some little carp. If you go out into the ocean, you're going to get some bigger fish. And just like that, the more land somebody has, the bigger the size system you're going to be dealing with. We go on average in neighborhoods, we're averaging 4 to 5 kilowatts all the way out. You go a little bit outside of town, you get into the 8 to 12, and people who have hobby farms, you're high teens, low 20s, which does bring us right up to in Idaho, we have a residential cap at 25 kilowatts. I know in a lot of areas there are like 10 kilowatt caps, or you can only do 100% of previous 12 months generation. In Idaho, they don't care what percentage you're going towards. for the big utilities, some of the small municipals do, they care about the 25 kilowatt limit. That's per meter, and that is residential. For agricultural commercial, you can do 100 kilowatts per meter. So that's actually one of the reasons why we haven't seen as much growth with solar in the commercial arena here in Idaho. Being capped at 100 kilowatts per meter is substantial.
You guys got your pens and you're writing your notes. This is great information if you ever want to sell solar in Idaho. How about your experience with virtual in Idaho? I'm just guessing that they may not be as tech savvy. I'm just totally guessing here. Is that something where you notice that they're not really prone to go virtual and it's better for in-home appointments there?
We do a lot more in-home appointments here because business is conducted face-to-face in Idaho. That's the motto that we kind of live by. Now, we have had a lot more success doing virtual presentations, especially after COVID. We were all forced, everybody was forced into finding a new way to communicate. And so that's what we adapt, we overcome. We've educated the consumers. Everybody knows how to click on a Zoom link now. So we are doing a lot more of that as well. It's also cut back substantially on some of those rural presentations that we've done. I live in Idaho, and our territory, I'm frequently driving 3 to 5 hours to and from an appointment. And so if I can get somebody onto a Zoom link, now all of a sudden, just like all of you, I can do 4 to 5 appointments a day instead of one appointment 4 to 5 hours away.
So it's still the same thing, right? You got to balance it out. How much do I want to drive? How much is this person going to sign up with Zoom?
Take a look at the house online. It's like, yeah, that's a 6-figure system. I'm going to get in the car.
It's like a drive, right?
Yep.
So I got a question, and guys, I'm not the only one asking questions. Get up in the comments and ask this guy questions. I'm sure you have questions about the Idaho market or just in general. This guy is a solar brain. So go ahead, jump in the comments, and we'll get to it. But my question was, you talked about Rocky Mountain and Idaho Power. Those sounds like the good ones you want to work with. What are some of the bad ones? Not bad, but not you hear that, you're like, I want to stay away from that.
Yeah, absolutely. So the definition of a bad utility here that to work with all boils down to the way that they have a net metering policy. And so some of the smaller co-ops and municipals, for example, here around where I am, my office is headquartered in Idaho Falls, Idaho. And Idaho Falls Power is traditionally one of the least expensive utilities in the US because they're all generated off of hydroelectric power. Also, their net metering program goes month to month. And so you can't build credits because we are a little bit towards the north end of the country. We overgenerate typically in the summer months so that in the wintertime, when we have those substantial snowstorms, the days aren't quite as long. We have weeks where we won't get any sun because it's snowing and blowing the entire time. With Idaho Power and Rocky Mountain Power, you have the ability to build up credits to offset that low production time frame. With a month-to-month generator or month-to-month aggregated net metering agreement, which is what both Idaho Falls Power and Fall River Electric Co-op, two of the other utilities around us, those are a little bit more difficult to work with. Additionally, they've also put in place some basic connection charges that make it a little bit prohibitive as well. Sometimes as high as $40 just for the privilege of being connected to the grid. Fantastic for the co-op, not so much for the homeowner.
Okay, so that's awesome, man. I appreciate that. We have some more questions coming in, but before I get there, I want to ask you: is there anything else we should know, as not knowing the Idaho market as we're selling there? Any last things you want to talk about with the Idaho market?
Biggest thing about the Idaho market is these are people, because it's not saturated, you have the first touch opportunity frequently. And just because somebody else has spoken to the person doesn't mean that they've given them the most accurate information. So be good stewards of the industry, give them the information they need to make a decision. People here will make a decision and they'll make it relatively quickly. They will not be sold to. And so if you're trying to push a high pressure sales tactic and saying, no, you've got this deal and you've got this deal today and today only, we're not going to. People in this mindset, when ownership and control is the primary deciding factor for them, they're not going to be pushed into a decision that they're not ready to make. However, if you do all of the education for the customer and let them know what what they need in order to make a decision, there's zero reason for them to say no.
And just to let you guys know, Ben is here only today. So this is your only opportunity to talk to him. So jump on that. And I'm not trying to close you either, right, Ben?
Right?
Hey, so there's some comments I want to jump into, if that's cool with you.
You bet.
All right. So we got Eric Garcia jumped in here. He's excited. Great to see you, Joe. It's great to see you, Eric. Beast mode. And put some pants on, Ben. LOL, just joking.
You can't tell me what to do. You're not my real mom.
You don't have to wear pants. That's the whole point of Zooming, right?
Right.
Facebook user said, "What's up, Ben?"
What it do, Vanilla Face?
Hoping it from Pennsylvania. Eddie Fernandez jumped in here. Love it.
What's up, Eddie?
You know, Eddie, the man. And then Daniel, he said, hello from Dallas, Texas. Okay, so what I was hoping for was, if you guys, there's some questions in the comments, but maybe we could do a little Solar Pro Q&A. We have a little more of your time.
You bet.
Let's go. Solar Pro Q&A.
Oh, snap. It's getting real up in here.
Yeah, I just got to want to show that graphic. That was it. The whole purpose. So some comments we had in here before I get some of my own questions. First one was from Facebook user. Didn't want to give permission, whoever this was. But what's your closing rate on virtual versus in-person? Is it harder to close?
Yeah, so because people do trust somebody that they can look, see, feel, touch, all that kind of stuff, and you can communicate a little bit clearer with you when you are in person, we do see a little bit higher closing ratio. In fact, my top closer is still closing above 80% on in-home, whereas with a virtual, we're lucky to maintain a 30% rate. Just because whenever you say something that can be taken two ways and they want to take it negatively, when you're in person, you can clarify the communication using body language and other ways that they can't just slam the door in your face when you're sitting in a living room. When all they have to do is say, I don't like this guy, click hang up. What are you going to do? Call him back?
Yep.
And hope they answer?
I hear you, man. Great answer. So Tori Blaine had a question for you. Does Idaho Power have a time of use?
They do have a time of use schedule. However, it is not required like it is in some other areas of the country. And you can only consume power so when you're over generating during the daytime usage, you can only consume at the rate at which you are generating. So time of day consumption here, very similar to everywhere else. When you in peak times, really expensive, off peak, a lot less expensive. When you're generating during peak times, you can only consume at peak. So if you want to truly do a net zero bill to the customer, then it does make it a little bit more challenging.
Makes sense. All right, appreciate that. We got another question from Eddie Fernandez. Hey, Ben, tell us a little bit about your business. What drove your decision to get into solar? I was going to ask that question, so thanks, Eddie.
Oh, man, Eddie leading the conversation here. Yeah, that's that's the $1 million question right there. So my business is built based off of wanting to be a disruptor in the industry. So specifically here in Idaho, solar is brand new. And so being able to go to homeowners and give them an option that previously they didn't even know about is something that I'm very, very passionate about. But what initially got me into solar is I was looking for something after spending 10 years in the Navy and trying to find something I could really sink my teeth into. I was the worst employee that you could ever find because I job hopped into 10 different industries, trying a whole bunch of different things. I had a security company for a little while. I worked at a large national laboratory. I did pretty much everything you can think of to try and figure out what I wanted to be when I grew up. And the one constant that I kept finding was that I wanted to find an industry that was going to be around and have a growth industry for a very, very long time. So something that I could jump into and really count on being a career type thing. And the motivator for that for me, specifically timing, was watching my parents struggle after the recession of 2008 and 2009 with their careers that just disappeared because when the economy corrected, they became redundant. And I didn't ever want to have that happen to me. So I started looking into renewable energy. And my first thought, being from up here in Idaho and in the rural West, was that I was going to be getting into wind power because the wind is blowing constantly out here. After seeing the total cost of ownership with windmills, I realized that really wasn't the route we wanted to go. And so I reached out to some very good friends of mine, Mike Sewell, Scott Sewell, the whole Sewell family, just a phenomenal resource. And they, at the time, were selling with Legacy Power down in the Orange County area. And that's where I really got my start. Went down, started apprenticing with them, knocking on doors, selling the PPAs. And I remember the exact time where I found my passion for solar. I was knocking doors in Cathedral City, middle of a rainstorm, which is very, very rare there. This is in July. It's 117 degrees and raining. So fantastic place to avoid if you ever get the opportunity to go to Cathedral City. Just don't. But I knocked on the door of this sweet little lady. She was 65, 70 years old, somewhere in that neighborhood. And she looked at me and you could just see her face fall. She's like, oh God, another solar guy. Well, come in and get out of the rain. I'm not interested in talking about solar at all. Just stop being stupid and come in out of the rain. And if you've ever been in a rainstorm in the desert, it doesn't just sprinkle. I mean, it was coming down. So I was pretty much swimming from house to house. So I was like, heck yeah, I'm coming inside. Even if I have to shut my mouth on solar, I'm going in. So sitting in there, it's a blessedly long shower. So she finally comes around. Why are you out here knocking on doors in the middle of a rainstorm? And getting to know her a little bit, she had 5 grandkids in the house with her so that her kids could run the family business. And so I was asking her, it's like, well, what are your average power bills? I'm out here because I'm trying to help people save some money. And her average power bills year round were $1,200 each month in Cathedral City. And so she had to keep the air conditioning on because of her grandkids. She had a pool in the backyard that she had running because of the grandkids. And so just to provide her grandkids with a comfortable place where they could stay while their parents were out making a living in the family business, that's how much she had to pay for electricity. And so I'm like, you don't have to go with anything, but let me show you what it would look like with solar. Long story short, with Legacy, with the Sunrun PPA, this is 7-8 years ago now, I was able to get her bill down to $450 a month. So she was pocketing $750 a month to be able to reinvest into experiences with her grandkids. And she was literally in tears and not knowing what she's like, I don't know what to do with this much money. I'm on a fixed income. I get to put all of my grandkids through college now. I get to spend time with them now. And that right there is what gave me a passion for the solar industry. So every time it gets hard, and God knows we've all been there, it gets so hard. You've got to find that why. And that's one of my core reasons why I continue to do solar, is it makes a difference in people's lives in ways that you don't even know until you knock on their door.
Well, Eddie can see the passion, Ben. So you want to add a golden nugget for the market from before. That was awesome, man. I totally get it. And I feel you, man. Like, this is one of those things that you're helping people, right? Like, it's not just making loads of money, which, it's always exciting talking about. It's how much money you're making these homeowners too, right?
Right. I mean, you make decent money in solar, but if you look at all the other sales models that follow a traditional type of, or the salespeople who come into solar come from all different walks of life. But the traditional ones that we find who are at least going door to door, you've got alarms, you've got pest control, you've got the TV and internet guys. And what makes this so different is you're not trying to come in and sell them something. You're coming in and actually offering a solution to a problem that they don't even know that they have, and not asking them to spend a penny more than they are already spending in most cases. So,
yeah. Let's just keep going with the comments, baby. Houston, Texas in the house. Let's go. So I see Jay Blaine put a comment. Let's dive into this here. Under the Idaho statutes, I see 63,302. Do you know what he's talking about here?
I know exactly what he's talking about. And this is one of the most confusing things when we talk about localized solar credits. The Idaho tax credit is there, but it's tiny. And so even having an Idaho-based company, I don't even factor it into the decision-making. I educate the homeowner on it. But let's address specifically what you're talking about here. So in Idaho, there is a percentage-based incentive for an income reduction on Idaho state taxes. So percentage basis means that you can take 40% of total system cost capped at $5,000 for the first year. The second year, third, and fourth year is 20% of total system cost capped at $5,000 in income reduction. And for example, what that means is if you make $75,000 a year, then you can take $5,000 in income reduction. And so they'll only tax you on $70,000 instead of $75,000. So you'll save the income tax that you would have paid on that $5,000 extra. That's what you can do. So basically anything over $25,000, any system size over $25,000 maxes out the Idaho state incentive. But then we don't know exactly what tax bracket they're in, so we can't even give them a good dollar amount. A rough average is anywhere from $200 to $350 a year per year for 4 years in savings. So it could be as little as $400 over a 4-year period to as much as about $1,500 in total dollars saved.
I guarantee you that most people had no idea about any of that information.
Yep, absolutely. What? Well, especially a lot of the quoting software out there right now is showing it as a $5,000 annual deduction.
Wow.
And so if you're selling a $30,000 system and you're looking at it saying, I've got 4 $5,000 deductions over the next couple of years, plus the 26% tax credit, you're going to be giving some very bad information and have a very pissed off homeowner.
And that's why we're doing this.
Exactly.
Educate everybody. Let them know. Great job, man. Appreciate you, man.
You bet.
We got other people too. Appreciate you. Christopher York said he's a bit late, but glad he's caught it live. So we got another question here from a Facebook user. We'll find out who it is later when we read through the comments. But how do you get past the misinformation and stubborn nature of people at the door?
Just like any other time when you're at the door, when you're doing your digital door knocking, calling via Zoom, you've got to break that preoccupation. And so as you guys may be able to tell, I use humor quite a bit. And so it can be as simple as walking up, and I learned this one from Mike O'Donnell, another phenomenal guest that you've had on. But he walks up to people and his mantra is, I got to get the no. So he'll walk up and say, hey, you don't want solar today, do you? And
that's great.
You know, if he's just trying to get out the door, he's got to get his no. That's something that I've actually used before. Hey, you guys don't want solar. They're like, wait, no, what? Huh? Why are you here? Anything you can do to break that preoccupation is the biggest thing. But asking questions. Yeah, I understand that you're not interested in solar. What part? There's so much bad about it that I understand you not wanting to be interested in solar. What part do you hate? And getting them to explain, okay, well, actually that information that you're going off of isn't accurate for the industry and for the solar programs as a whole. You're talking about specifically one instance with one rep or with one company. And we all know that solar has gotten to the point where it's kind of like buying a car. First, you find out what kind of car you want, then you go to the dealership that's going to treat you the best. It's our responsibility to be the best dealership and educate the homeowners on what kind of car they need.
Perfect. Guys, write the stuff, notes down. And then if you haven't heard it, rewind it and watch it again. The beauty of the technology, right?
Well, another one of my favorite ones, just real quick on that one, is when you have somebody who's like, oh, I've looked into solar before, I'm really not interested. It's like, well, we've all had bad experiences. I got a lot of car analogies here, but we've all had bad experiences with car salesmen. You've been to a lot that you absolutely treated you terrible. Well, you're not still riding the bus every day because of one bad experience with one bad salesman at one car lot. You got over it. You went and asked somebody else their opinion and found out that, hey, there is a better way. Cars are still fantastic. That guy was just a douche.
It's so true. Once you get that to understand that, they feel like dumb even bringing it up again, right?
Yep.
Eric Garcia likes it. Fire. He also thought Jay's question was great, which I thought was too. Great question, Jay.
Yeah, phenomenal.
Guys, come on.
I forgot about that one.
Look at him. He's fire. Ben's fire, guys. Throw some more comments, more questions. If you want an objection, you want him to handle, let's see how he does. Hey, I got a couple more questions. I'll let you get out of here, Ben, okay?
All right.
So I want to know a little bit about I know you told me a little bit what's going on, but what is this Vets Senior program you run?
So this is something that it's a pet project of mine. And it's something that I firmly believe solar is for everybody, regardless of price. And I got so tired. There's some national door knocking companies that came through Idaho about 3 years ago. And they were telling all the people who didn't qualify for solar that, oh, you don't qualify. It's not good for you. And that's because they didn't fit into the national box that they were trying to put them in. $200 power bills, and you need to have $60,000, $70,000 worth of income. And all of these people with fantastic roofs and that can take advantage of the solar programs, just not fitting within that little box that people try and pigeonhole them into. It really got me thinking, how can I make this better? So I went out, and being a veteran, I included veterans into this program, but for vets and seniors on a fixed income, I do their systems at cost. But in order to do that, I require that they give us 5 warm referrals before we even sign documents. So that means that they are calling people from their cell phone and saying, hey, I've got this person and they've shown me solar. It looks like it's a great option for me. I'd like you to just take a look at this and see if it's as good of an option for you. And so even though we don't make a dime on those vets and seniors, because we're doing it at cost, we're able to sell it at a point where they don't need the federal tax credit to come in and offset in order to maintain their current electric bill prices. So what I'm doing is hedging against future systems and future business by treating customers well. And we all know that referrals are by far the strongest form of marketing that we can do. And so it's well worth me losing out the profit from one job to potentially get 3 to 5 others. And it continues to roll down that way.
This is the kind of stuff this guy brings to the table. I remember we were masterminding and we were talking. I was like giving all these ideas I was doing. I was like, yeah, I'm doing the sellyourselfsolar.com. And he's like, oh, right, done that. I've been doing that already. I'm like, what? This is the kind of things he does, man. So I love it. So how has it been working out? What is the response? How's the referrals going? How's it going doing it?
It's unbelievable. I mean, when you can tell a senior, somebody who's on a fixed income, that you can fix their power bills at today's rates and they won't go up again. Even knowing with all the purchase options that we have here, because PPAs still aren't allowed in Idaho. So everything is done via purchase. But you can fix their costs even without the federal tax credit. Now, they still qualify for the tax credit. So if they somehow sell some property and move their love it solar, Mark. So I've got a nonprofit that I'm running too. Sorry, I got distracted. Blonde, shiny things. I've got a nonprofit that I run called Solar for Vets, and so we're taking this to an even a higher level where we'll actually be able to pay for the solar tax credit as a nonprofit. That way they can.
I love that. Look at that. Tell us more about that, man. How'd you get that happen?
It's one that I'm self-funding as of right now, and I'm going to be opening opening it up to other dealerships as well. That basically, if you have a veteran that qualifies within for the criteria that we're looking for, we will pay for the 26% federal tax credit, so you can still sell at full system price and apply for us to pay for the tax credit on behalf of the veteran. So if you don't want to bring it down, and a lot of times this is something that reps won't have control over. They can't bring it down to system cost in order to make it make sense. So that's why the Solar for Vets program is being born, so that other people can take advantage of the program as well. But it'll be run similarly on like a monthly membership type thing. You pay a certain amount in, and then it's available for you to use whenever you want to. So
yeah.
We're just in the process of launching that here, hopefully in the fourth quarter of this year.
That's awesome. That's exciting. And Christopher York says, that is incredible.
So I totally got derailed. I don't know what I was talking about before.
No, you're good. We were talking about the veteran groups, the veteran programs.
Just the responses from people. Because it is such a strong referral. When you take care of somebody and you're able to fix a cost of electricity, somebody's retiring at 62, 63 years old, they reasonably have to expect that they're going to be paying for electric bills for the next 25 plus years. So we can fix it at today's cost. And they understand more than anybody else the variable costs of utilities, because they remember gas under $1 a gallon very, 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 very well. And they're pissed off about it now. Now their biggest fear is that they're going to be, their income won't go up to match their rising cost of utilities. So we can eliminate that fear for them, because if they're on a fixed income and their power bill comes in $100 high this month, that's the difference between them eating cat food and their regular budget.
Eddie has a question in here. Will the monthly subscription for Solar for Vets be tax deductible for the rep?
Absolutely. So it's going to be considered a donation into the nonprofit, and all of that money is going to go towards funding the nonprofit itself. So with that monthly subscription, it's something you pay the money into it, and when you submit your application, it's just verifying that there's money that's going to be available for you.
That is awesome, man. That's great information, guys. All right. So this is really trying to get educated the newer solar pros industry. You know, if you have a new solar pros that wants to start with success, what kind of advice would you give? Just somebody just getting their feet wet in solar.
This is probably some of the most controversial advice that I could give to anybody, or that anybody's ever heard, but go screw up. Go screw up as many times and as fast as you can, because you're not going to be perfect the first time you do it. And if you're worried about doing it well the first time, you're not going to be confident in what you do. But if you confidently go out there and blow it, you did right. And so that's the best way that you can go and learn how to do things the right way, is go completely screw up a couple of pitches.
Go forward, right?
Yep. That's exactly it. You know, if you think that you're going to be perfect the first time out, it's probably not going to happen. There are some natural born salespeople out there, but you don't need to be listening to me. This is for everybody that is looking to get into solar so that they can grow and get out of a rut that they're in. And so we train people all the time. Just go out and screw up.
Eric Garcia says, "Thank you, Ben." You must get that a lot. Everybody's thanking you, huh, Ben?
Yeah. I love to help out wherever I can. I mostly get the one finger wave from everybody, so that's a good thing.
Yeah, right. You're a giving guy. Everybody loves you. Everybody says great things about you. It's not just me. But, you know, besides solar, we talk about solar this whole time. I got to know you a little bit better on the masterminding in Las Vegas retreat with the Solar Academy. But tell us, the audience, a little more about yourself and the hobbies and things you like to do besides solar, outside of the solar world.
Yeah, I love being outside. You know, I feel closest to my center when I'm up playing out in the mountains. That's why I live in Idaho, so that I can actually go play around here in Idaho. You know, going out hunting, camping, fishing, going out on the water. I've got 4 boys, and so teaching them all the things that I'm passionate about. You know, it's something that my wife is a saint for putting up with all of us. But she keeps the whole thing moving and allows us to go out and be passionate in everything that we do. So the things that really make me tick are spending time with the kids, watching them get their aha moments. Like it's also what, I guess if I had to break it down, one thing that really makes me passionate is I do have a teacher's mentality, in that I love helping people realize their potential. And so that's why I love dealing with homeowners. That's why I love dealing with new salespeople in the solar industry. And that's why I love my kids so much, because they have the opportunity, or I get the opportunity and the privilege to watch them. Oh, that's why that works. Oh, that's why you told me to do it that way. And they're as hard-headed as I am. Sometimes they have to go out and make the mistakes themselves. And God bless my parents, because they realized that with me at a very young age. And I had the opportunity to go out and screw up a lot because I needed to in order to learn. I couldn't be the guy that listened to the wisdom from other people. Unfortunately, that is one of the things I've learned, is that I don't have to be the one on reinventing the wheel all the time.
I get it, man. That's awesome. And it's always good to know, with solar pros, I love other solar pros because it seems like they're all just like the same kind of people, right? Like just entrepreneurial, outgoing, funny, like great personalities. Like when you go to a party and there's another solar pro there, I'm like, I'm gonna go talk to that guy. Let's hang out, right?
Yeah, it's like, hey, we're friends. It's kind of like being a veteran. You meet somebody either from the same branch of service or another branch of service, and you have a connection. Same thing with being a solar pro. There's a reason why you're doing this, and very, very quickly if your reasons are the same or if they're different. And if they're different, like, that guy, maybe we don't get along so well. But we've been through the trenches before, so.
I think that's why it was so fun at the retreat. All of our solar pros hanging out there. We all just got along so well.
I still don't know how Jake pulled together that many people, and every single person there was better than the last. Like the entire group was so focused on not themselves. It was mind blowing to me to bring in 20 people from all different corners of the country, that with all different, from reps to people running full cycle or full install sales organizations, it was amazing to me, the brain power and the commonality that we all had as solar pros there, and it was fantastic.
Speaking of that retreat, Cheyenne Killam is going to be on the show next week on the live stream.
Oh man, got Shay Killam coming on.
Shay Killam, I'm so excited about that. She's being a little shy, but she's going to be a shy killer when she's on next week, though.
Oh man.
Well, back to you, man. I'm curious, what's next for you? Because you've been doing so much and you have so much on your plate already. What's your next 5-year plan? What's your big goals? What's next for you?
Well, it's funny that we've been talking about the Solar Academy and everything, because I was on a very different path when I met with everybody while I was down there. I was in the process of becoming a vertically integrated company so that we could do all of our own installs. And I wanted to really take hyper control of that process so I could deliver the best quality product. And I thought the only way for me to do that is to take the process on in-house. And after meeting with Jake and with everybody else down there, I truly realized that that's not what I want to do. So we've kind of rebranded here at Prizm Solar. We are turning into a sales organization and identifying specifically as that. We're going to be taking it into a bunch of new states and trying to leverage our experience and our platform with a hyper focus on the customer experience. We want people to be stark raving fans of us, whether it's this year, 5 years, 10 years down the road. We want to say, we went solar and it was probably the best decision we ever made. So in the short term, that's our next goal is to open a virtual sales wing with identified openings down there in Texas. Looks like it's getting kind of crowded down there, so I want to dip my toes in the water. And Florida and the Carolinas. Those are our next areas to grow. But also outside of that, that Solar for Vets thing is my new pet project as well. So continuing to push that and help that grow is going to be a fun focus through the winter months for me.
You forgot the last thing. You're going to do your own live stream every week, right?
Oh, man. How did I possibly forget that?
Hey, guys, if you think Ben should have his own live stream, go put in the comments. Ben, get a live stream. Do more of these. We want more value. We want you to do more trainings. And he'll do it if you get him to do it. But if not, he'll stay away. So go ahead. Let him know. We want him out there. Hey, Ben, I appreciate you, man. You made some time for us, gave us some nuggets that you don't have to give us value. If somebody wanted to reach out to you and say, I want to hang out with this guy, Ben, I want to talk to this guy, how can they reach out to you?
Easiest way is to just hit me up on Facebook. That's the best way. Look us up on our website, or you can definitely reach out to me. I'll give you all my cell phone number too. So I'm available to talk to anybody that needs some help or anything. I'm just here to help build. So My cell phone, 307-699-4204. Call me anytime.
All right, last comments we got here. We got Facebook user said, I'd love to watch more from Ben. So would I. So would I. Chris New York jumped in here. He wants to know, I mean, how do you show cash cost versus financed? Do you know where you're going?
Yeah, so the hardest thing is a lot of the finance companies these days, they know that they're making a killing off of dealer fees. And so they have NDAs that make it so that you have to charge the same amount for cash versus financed prices. So because of those NDAs, I can't tell you.
There's another one. I missed the question.
So how do you show the difference in cash cost versus financed? So
perfect.
Oh, I forgot the other way where you guys can get with me. Don't forget to look me up on OnlyFans.
OnlyFans, don't forget, guys. Forget Facebook. You gotta go to OnlyFans. That's awesome. Hey, you might be surprised how many people will go there and check it out right now. He's just joking, guys. He's just joking. Hey, or is he? Hey, man. Any last thoughts? Anything you want to leave off with the audience before we let you go, man?
Yeah, absolutely. Probably the most important thing here is, Joe, I really appreciate you, what you're doing for the industry here. You're bringing together this wealth of knowledge from all corners, and truly, it was not only a pleasure getting to know you as a person down there in Vegas, but watching what you're doing here, it does my heart good knowing that somebody like you is pushing this program. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. I really appreciate it.
Man, thank you. It's because of the guys like you coming on the show, giving value, making us laugh. We got over here, comment section, Larry Golden III, laughing his eyes out, man. So appreciate you, man. And don't forget, guys, next week we have Cheyenne Killam on the show. And we're going to make it where it's going to be fun. Enjoyable segment where we're going to talk about role playing, knocking on doors. She is amazing. What do you think, Ben?
Oh, she's a beast. I'm definitely tuning in because I learned so much from her just in the couple of days that she was there. It's mind blowing.
Awesome. All right, Ben. Thank you so much again, bro. We're definitely going to talk again, man. We'll do it. All right, bro. We'll talk.
Okay, sounds good. Appreciate it.
Peace.
Bye.